The FBI says that seniors are much more likely to be scam victims, primarily because they've accumulated some money, and quite often they're more trusting than most of us. And when they are scam victims, they're often reluctant to tell others about it, which makes it even easier for the scammers to get away. And so today on the Dollar Structure interview, we wanted to see what we could do to try to help to stem the tide of seniors' financial scams. Hi, I'm Gary Foreman, editor of thedollarstructure.com. To help us understand senior scams is Kai Stinchcomb of TrueLinkFinancial.com. Kai started his company because of financial troubles his own grandmother had. Kai, thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure to be here.
Roughly how widespread is senior financial abuse? Do we all need to worry about mom and dad or grandma and grandpa being involved?
So something like 1 in 5 seniors will end up being affected by fraud specifically. There are a host of other problems that are sort of less serious than criminal fraud. For example, predatory marketing or telemarketing scams, where you might not report it as fraud, but you can be out a couple $100 perhaps. And the thing to know is that typically if there's a small problem, it can lead to a big problem. And so the point is, you may not be vulnerable, it may never happen, but you should be aware that the problem exists and be on your guard.
Yeah, I've heard that scammers, if they'll trade lists, where if somebody's taken grandma for $100, they'll pass that list knowing that she's an easy target, and somebody they'll try to take her for $1,000.
That's absolutely true, and you see that in the private sector also among legal commercial businesses, that if somebody starts to experience memory loss, for example, or a reduced tendency towards suspicion, they may start donating heavily to charities or perhaps religious organizations, or might have impulse purchasing on TV, and those lists get shopped around too. So you can go from donating $50 a month to charity to $50 a day almost overnight.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about that. Now, besides people who make a lot of donations to charity, are there any other markers that we can watch in ourselves or our loved ones and say, they could put me as a target?
It's a tough question to answer, because things like memory loss or reduced suspicion, friendliness are actually part of the normal aging process. They might call it mild cognitive impairment, but it's what used to be called getting old, and it happens to all of us. And so the real thing is just watching the bank accounts, that somebody who's historically friendly or polite might be more vulnerable. You start to notice them getting lots of junk mail or telemarketing calls. You might think that they've gotten on some of these lists, but in my grandma's case, she was not raised to hang up the phone on somebody. And so somebody will get talking, and as much as we say, when you pick up the phone, ask who it is, and if you don't know the person, hang up. She's not going to hang up on somebody. There's no amount of us trying to cajole her that'll change that habit.
Now, how do you get grandma to be comfortable in that kind of conversation? Because I'm sure grandma was also raised that it wasn't polite to talk about money in company. How do you pick that time when you talk to mom or dad or grandma and grandpa and say, hey, you really should get some help?
Almost always when we talk to our customers, they find that they say that they wish they'd had the conversation earlier, that the longer you wait, the tougher it gets. And so thinking about it as a partnership, right? So as a business owner, I have business partners, I have investors, and before I'm about to make a big decision, I talk it over with people. That's not because I'm dumb or incapable. It's because for financial decisions, it makes sense to have an outside perspective. And emphasizing that it's something that happens to everybody, and it's a safety feature. So for our product is about sort of monitoring this type of transaction and helping to block it, and we compare it more to airbags, right? That it's not, the point is not to restrict your freedom or put in oversight measures. The point is, if there's a mistake going on, if you're in an accident, you want extra safety precautions. And I think that that's the appropriate role for a son or daughter to take, that it's not controlling their parents' life, but it's just saying, hey, let's have a couple sets of eyes on the road.
Good, gentle way to do it. Now, are there markers that the caller or the company is legitimate or illegitimate that people can use?
If they're asking for money, then they're trying to get your money. The thing that I would say is just having that suspicious guard. In general, if somebody's asking for your personal information, credit card information, checking account information, think about, do I know this person? Have I done business with them in the past? And also, don't be afraid to call back. And that I think is the number one piece of advice, is that they'll often try to trick you into making a fast decision. They'll say, hey, this is the government. We're calling to renew your Medicare card. Hey, this is your grandson. I'm calling to get bail, to get out of jail. This is an immigration lawyer. There's some emergency, right? And so if you say, hang on a second, I'm going to need to call you right back. I'm in the middle of something. And then you think about it and you say, okay, let me call the Social Security Administration and see if they need to renew my Social Security card, instead of accepting a call from somebody and I have no idea who it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We always tell people that if you initiate the call, that's one thing. But if somebody else that you don't know initiates the call and asks for personal information,
exactly,
or money, be very suspicious.
And then the other thing is, if you're an internet user, just look it up. That almost always, for some of these complaints, there will be consumer complaints on the internet. There will be reviews. There might be, a Better Business Bureau report or something like that. And just look it up and be informed.
Now, I know you started at TrueLink Financial because of your grandmother's situation. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so when she's 93 now. When she was just turning 80, she started to be a little more generous with her charitable contributions. And at first we didn't think much of it, but it turned out when we would visit, we would see these big stacks of junk mail. And the thing that had happened was, instead of donating once a month, she had sort of started to forget how frequently she was donating or which organization she supported. And so she would open the mail, and you look at these fundraising appeals, right? It's clearly they're designed to sort of be deceptive or to trick somebody, to entrap them. And so you or I or some of your other viewers might see the handwriting font, for example, and say, okay, I understand that this is a mass-produced piece of mail with fake handwriting on it. But if you have maybe a vision impairment or are just used to a different form of communication, you're going to look at that and you're going to say, oh my goodness, this person has a handwritten appeal to me. It's just to me. And so she would show us. We would say, Grandma, don't donate to that organization. It's a ripoff. And she would hold up the letter and she would show us the picture of the kid that she thought was going to die if she didn't donate 20 cups of rice or whatever. And you'd have to have, a heart of stone not to respond to a letter like that if you believe what it's saying. And so that was sort of the progression. It put us in a very tough situation because, she'd been thrifty her whole life. She'd saved this money. And on the one hand, you don't want to see it all going out the door and her to not be able to continue to live on her savings. On the other hand, what's your option? You can't really just take it away from her because there's no point then either. The point of money is to be able to preserve your independence.
So what is a TrueLink Financial product like?
Yeah, so we offer a monitoring and blocking service, so you can give your mom a safe form of payment, and we will. It's like airbags. We give you a way to use the card every way you historically did, but if you're in an accident, we block it and keep your money safe.
Yeah, so it's almost like a spam blocker that you might use on your email.
Exactly. Or a home security system, right? A spam blocker is not telling you who to email and who not to email. It's not about your independence. Same thing with a home security system. The point is, if there's an intruder, if there's something suspicious, there's something going on that shouldn't, we're an extra layer of safety.
Fantastic. Well, Kai, we thank you for your help. And hopefully people will learn a little bit about how to avoid the senior financial scams. We'd like to invite our viewers to follow our YouTube channel and visit us on thedollarstretcher.com and go check out TrueLinkFinancial.com for Kai's product. Thanks again, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks so much.